What is the true meaning of worship? Is it mere ritual? Is it fear of punishment? Or is it desire for reward?
What is worship to you? A transaction? Comment below. I want to know. This teaching from Imam Ali will change how you pray forever.
Suluk and Ibada, service of the one God, and the negation of everything else as an object of service and worship, is one of the essential teachings of God's sent messengers, a feature never absent from the teachings of any prophet. As we know, in the sacred religion of Islam too, worship occupies a prominent status, with the only difference that worship in Islam is not regarded as a series of devotional rituals separate from everyday life and is pertaining solely to another world. Worship in Islam is located in the context of life and is an unalienable part of the Islamic philosophy of life. Aside from the fact that some of the Islamic acts of worship are performed collectively, Islam has structured them in such a fashion that their performance automatically ensures the performance of other duties of life as well. For instance, salat is a complete expression of man's servitude and surrender to Allah. It has been specified in such a manner that even a man who desires to pray in a lonely corner is forced to observe certain things of moral and social relevance, such as cleanliness, respect for the rights of others, observance of punctuality, possession of a sense of direction, control over one's emotions, and expression of goodwill and benevolence towards other righteous servants of Allah. From the Islamic point of view, every good and beneficial action, if performed with a pure God-seeking intention, is viewed as an act of worship. Hence, learning, acquisition of knowledge and livelihood, and social services, if performed for Allah's sake, are acts of worship. Nevertheless, Islam also specifies a system of rituals and formal acts of worship, such as salat, som, fasting, etc., each having a specific philosophy for performing it. Men have varying attitudes towards worship. Not all of them view it in the same light. For some, worship is a kind of deal, a barter and an exchange of labor performed for wages. Like an ordinary worker who spends his time and labor for the benefit of an employer and expects a daily wage in return, the devotee also endeavors for the sake of the divine reward, which, however, he would receive in the hereafter. Like the laborer for whom his labor bears fruit in the form of his wages and who would not work except for a wage, the benefit of the devotee's worship, according to the outlook of this particular group of devotees, lies in the wages and rewards which shall be granted to the devotees in the form of the things and the means of comfort in the other world. However, every employer pays wages in return for the benefit which he derives from his employees. But what benefit can the master of the heavens derive from the labors of a weak and feeble servant of his? Moreover, if we assume that the great employer does remunerate his servants in the form of the blessings and rewards of the hereafter, then why does he not reward them without any effort and consumption of labor and energy? These are questions which never occur to this class of the pious. From their viewpoint, the essence of worship lies in certain visible bodily movements and oscillations of the tongue. This is one attitude towards worship. Unrefined and vulgar it may be, it is, in the words of Ibn Sina, as he puts it in the 9th chapter of his book titled Al-Sharif, the attitude of the unenlightened and God-ignorant is acceptable only by the plebeians. Another approach towards worship is that of the enlightened. Here, the aforementioned problems of worker and employer, labor and wage, have no relevance. How can they be relevant when worship is viewed by them as the ladder to attain nearness to Allah, as the means of human sublimity, edification and upliftment of the soul, and its flight to the invisible sphere of spiritual greatness, an invigorating exercise of one's spiritual faculties, and a triumph of the spirit over the corporeal? It is the highest expression of the gratitude and love of the human being towards his Creator, his declaration of love for the most perfect and the absolutely beautiful one, and finally, his wayfaring towards Allah. According to this approach, worship has a form and a soul, an appearance and an inner meaning. That which is expressed by the tongue and the movements of other parts of the body is the form, the outer mold, and the appearance of worship. Its soul and meaning is something else. The soul of worship is inextricably connected with the significance attached to worship by the devotee, his attitude towards it, his inner motive that drives him to it, the ultimate satisfaction and benefit he derives from it, and the extent to which he covers the divine path in his journey towards Allah. What is the approach and the attitude adopted by Nahjul-Balagha towards worship? Nahjul-Balagha takes an enlightened view of worship, or rather, it is after the Holy Quran and the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet, the main source of inspiration towards the enlightened approach to worship in the Islamic tradition. As we know, of the most sublime and imaginative themes of Islamic literature, both Arabic and Persian, is the relationship between the ardent love of the devotee for the divine essence, expressed in delicate and elegant passages in the form of sermons, prayers, allegories, parables, both in prose and in verse. When we compare them with the pre-Islamic notions prevalent in the regions, which subsequently constituted the domains of Islam, it is surprising to observe the gigantic leap that was taken by Islam in bestowing depth, scope, sweetness, and delicacy to human thought. Islam transformed a people who worshipped idols, images, fire, or degraded the eternal God to the level of a human father, in whose flight of imagination prompted them to identify the Father with the Son, or who officially considered the Ahura Mazda to be a material form, whose statues they erected in every place, into a people whose intellect could grasp and evolve the most abstract of concepts, the most sophisticated of ideas, the most elegant of thoughts, and the most sublime of notions. How was the human intellect so radically transformed? What revolutionized those people's logic, elevated their thoughts, refined their emotions, and sublimated their values? How did it all happen? The al-Mu'allaqat al-Saba and Nahjul-Balagha stand only one generation apart from each other. Both of those generations of Arabs were proverbial in eloquence and literary genius. As to the content, they stand as far apart as the earth and the sky. The former sing of the beauty of the beloved one, the pleasures of love, of gallantry, of horses, spears, the knightly assaults, and compose praise and lampoon. The latter contains the most sublime of the ideologies of man. In order to elucidate the approach of Imam Ali towards worship, we now shall proceed to cite few examples from Nahjul-Balagha, beginning with a statement about the differences in various approaches of people towards worship.
The turning point in understanding the true depth of worship in Nahjul-Balagha comes when we recognize that Imam Ali elevated the concept of worship far beyond mere ritualistic practice. He distinguished between three types of worshipers, each representing a different level of spiritual awareness and connection with the divine. The first type are those who worship Allah out of fear, like slaves who serve their master only out of dread of punishment. Their worship is driven by the fear of hell and the desire to avoid suffering. The second type are those who worship Allah out of desire for reward, like merchants who engage in trade for profit. Their worship is driven by the hope of paradise and the desire for material and spiritual rewards. The third type, and the highest, are those who worship Allah out of love and gratitude, like free and noble individuals who serve their beloved out of pure devotion. Their worship is not motivated by fear or reward, but by the recognition of Allah's beauty, perfection, and infinite mercy. This is the worship of the free, the enlightened, and the truly devoted. Imam Ali's teaching on worship is revolutionary because it transforms the act of worship from a mere transaction into a profound spiritual journey. Worship is no longer about earning wages from a distant employer. It becomes the soul's ascent towards its creator, the heart's expression of love for the most beautiful, and the spirit's flight to the realm of divine proximity. This approach gives worship a soul, a meaning, and a depth that transcends the physical movements of prayer and the recitation of words. It connects the worshiper to the divine in a way that is intimate, personal, and transformative. The Islamic understanding of worship is not confined to the mosque or the prayer niche. It extends to every aspect of life. Eating with the intention of gaining strength for worship is an act of worship. Working to provide for one's family with the intention of fulfilling a divine command is an act of worship. Even sleep, if accompanied by the intention of resting to serve Allah, becomes an act of worship. This is the comprehensive nature of Islamic spirituality. It does not separate the sacred from the secular. It sanctifies the entire life of the believer, transforming every action into a form of devotion when accompanied by the right intention. The pre-Islamic Arabs, despite their literary genius, were confined to a narrow range of themes. They sang of love, war, horses, and tribal honor. Their poetry, though eloquent, was limited to the material and the temporal. Islam introduced them to a new horizon, a new way of thinking, a new depth of feeling. The same people who once worshipped idols and composed poetry about wine and warfare were now capable of articulating the most profound spiritual truths. They could speak of divine love, spiritual ascent, the soul's journey, and the beauty of the Creator. This transformation was not a gradual evolution, it was a revolution. It was a gift from Allah through His messenger and the teachings of the Al-Bayt, particularly Imam Ali.
Nahjul-Balagha stands as a testament to this transformation. It is not merely a collection of eloquent speeches. It is a spiritual guide, a philosophical treatise, and a manual for the soul's journey toward Allah. The sermons in Nahjul-Balagha on worship are not dry theological discussions. They are passionate, heartfelt, and deeply moving. They touch the soul, awaken the conscience, and inspire the heart to seek the divine. One of the most beautiful aspects of Nahjul-Balagha's approach to worship is its emphasis on the inner dimension. The physical movements of prayer are important, but they are not the essence of worship. The essence lies in the presence of the heart, the sincerity of intention, and the depth of connection with Allah. A prayer performed with presence of heart is like a body without a soul. It may have form, but it lacks life. This is why Imam Ali emphasized the need for the heart to be present in worship, to be fully engaged with the divine, to feel the awe and love of Allah in every moment of devotion. This teaching is particularly relevant in today's world, where people are often distracted by the busyness of life. The pressures of work, family, and modern life can make it difficult to focus on worship. But Imam Ali's teaching reminds us that worship is not just about the time we spend in prayer. It is about the quality of that time. It is about the presence of the heart. It is about the sincerity of intention. A short prayer performed with full presence of heart is worth more than a long prayer performed with a distracted mind. The enlightened approach to worship also transforms the way we view life itself. When worship is seen as a journey toward Allah, then every moment of life becomes an opportunity for growth. Every challenge becomes a test of patience. Every blessing becomes a reason for gratitude. Every difficulty becomes a chance to turn to Allah. This perspective gives life meaning and purpose. It makes the believer resilient, hopeful, and grateful. Nahjul-Balagha also teaches that worship is not just about what we do, but about who we are. The ultimate goal of worship is not just to perform rituals, but to become a person who is close to Allah, a person who embodies the qualities of the divine in their character. This is why Imam Ali emphasized the importance of taqwa, or God consciousness. Taqwa is the fruit of sincere worship. It is the quality that transforms the believer from within, enabling them to live a life of integrity, compassion, and justice. The journey of worship is a lifelong journey. It does not end with the completion of a prayer or the fasting of a month. It is a continuous striving toward Allah, a constant effort to draw closer to Him, to purify the soul, and to elevate the spirit. This is the path of the free, the enlightened, and the truly devoted. This is the path that Imam Ali taught through his words and his life. And this is the path that Nahjul-Balagha invites us to walk.
The beauty of this teaching is that it is accessible to everyone, whether one is a scholar or a common person, a ruler or a subject, a warrior or a worshiper. The path of sincere worship is open to all. The key is the intention, the presence of heart, and the love for Allah that transcends fear and reward. This is the universal message of Nahjul-Balagha. It is a message that has the power to transform individuals and societies, to bring peace to troubled hearts, and to guide humanity towards its ultimate purpose. The sermons of Imam Ali on worship are not just words to be read and forgotten.
They are invitations to a deeper relationship with the divine, calls to a higher level of consciousness, and guides to a more meaningful life. They challenge us to move beyond the superficial and to embrace the profound. They remind us that true worship is not just about what we say or do, but about who we become in the process. May Allah grant us the wisdom to understand the true meaning of worship, the sincerity to perform it with presence of heart, and the grace to walk the path of spiritual ascent towards Him. May He bless us with the love of the Al-Bayt and guide us to follow their noble example. May He make us among those who worship Him not out of fear or desire for reward, but out of love, gratitude, and the recognition of His infinite beauty and perfection. Ameen.